Introduction to the historical event. The rise of the Filipino nationalism. The rise of Filipino nationalism was a gradual process that grew out of the frustrations and hardships Filipinos faced under Spanish colonial rule. In the late 1800s, some Filipinos started to demand reform, inspired by the changing ideas about freedom and equality happening in Europe. These ideas were spread by people in the propaganda movement, a group of Filipino intellectuals who called for social and political changes. The propaganda movement. The propaganda movement was led by Filipino thinkers and writers who were mostly based in Spain. They used books, newspapers, and speeches to call for reform and equality under Spanish rule. Some of the movement were from Jose Rizal. He was a doctor, writer, and a national hero. He wrote two famous novels, No Limit Tangere and El Filibusterismo, that exposed the corruption and cruelty of Spanish officials and priests. Next is Marcelo H. Del Pilar, a lawyer and a writer. Del Pilar was another important figure who pushed for reforms. He was the editor of La Solidaridad, the newspaper of the propaganda movement. He campaigned for Filipinos to have the same rights as Spaniards, including the right to have a say in government. He also wanted to reduce the power of the Spanish friars with Filipino communities. Next is Graciano Lopez Haina. Lopez Haina was a journalist and one of the founders of La Solidaridad. He wrote powerful articles that called out the injustices under Spanish rule, especially against the friars who controlled many aspects of Filipino life. He wanted more freedom for Filipinos and better education for the masses. These reformers used their writing to fight against the discrimination and corruption they saw in Spanish rule. But despite their efforts, the Spanish government ignored or oppressed their ideas. Social, economic, and political grievances. Filipinos were unhappy with the Spanish government because of the many ways they were treated unfairly. Some of the main problems were social inequality. The Spanish government treated Filipinos as second-class citizens. The Spanish and mestizos elites, people with both Spanish and Filipino ancestry, had most of the power and wealth, while ordinary Filipinos, called Indios, had little say in society. Spanish friars also controlled the local parishes and had too much influence over the daily lives of Filipinos. Next is economic exploitation. Most Filipinos were poor and worked as farmers or laborers under the harsh conditions. Spanish landlords Spanish also imposed high taxes on Filipinos, making it even harder for them to survive. Next is political oppression. Filipinos had no say in their own government. All important political positions were held by Spaniards. Filipinos couldn't hold high government jobs or have any real power. The Spanish also ignored the needs and voices of the Filipino people, which made many of them feel frustrated and powerless. Last is the attempt at reform and why they failed. Some Filipinos tried to push for the peaceful reforms to fix these problems, but their efforts were mostly unsuccessful. Here's why. Rizal advocacy to reform Jose Rizal believed in peaceful reform. He thought that if Filipinos were educated and treated equally, they could become equal to the Spanish. However, the Spanish government did not want to make any changes. They saw these demands as a threat and decided to silence these voices instead of listening to them. The work of propaganda movement. The reformers, including Del Pilar and Lopez Haina, wrote in La Solidaridad to criticize the Spanish government and called for reforms. But, but the Spanish colonial government didn't want to give up its power. They censored newspapers, exiled some leaders, and even executed Rizal to shut down the movement. Repression and failure of reform. Every time the reformers pushed for change, the Spanish authorities responded by punishing them. Rizal was exiled and other leaders were sent into exile or imprisoned. Because of this repression, many Filipinos began to feel that peaceful reforms were not enough, and that the independence from Spain was the only way to solve their problems.
First Philippine Republic was under a revolutionary government. A revolutionary government was initially established by the Katipunan with the outbreak of the Philippine Revolution in 1896. As the Katipunan Supreme President Andres Bonifacio is reformed its Supreme Council into a cabinet, still with himself as president. Prior to this, the Katipunan had itself been established in 1892 with the intentions of becoming a shadow government. The Tejeros Convention of 1897 was held to reconcile the argument of the functions of the Katipunan in the province of Cavite. Magdalo and Magdiwang, and it was decided that the Katipunan had to be dissolved to have an election of officers for a revolutionary government. This led to the leadership of the revolution passing, passing to Emilio Aguinaldo, who led a succession of insurgent governments as president and briefly dictator. The government established at Tejeros on March 22, but finalized, finalized and first asserted the Republic of Biak na Bato. That government was established on December 15 by the fact of Biak na Bato, and Aguinaldo was into exile, establishing the Hong Kong Junta. In Aguinaldo's absence, the center returned to the Philippines on May 19, 1898, during the Spanish-American War. The independence of the Philippines from the Spain was declared on June 12, and Aguinaldo established himself as dictator in a dictatorial government on June 18. This government was succeeded by a revolutionary government on June 23 with Aguinaldo as president. This was succeeded on January 21, 1899 by the First Philippine Republic, which included an elected legislative branch and constitution.
Constitution of Biak na Bato, 1897. The Pact of Biak na Bato and the Revolutionary Context. The Pact of Biak na Bato, signed on December 14, 1897, created a truce between Spanish colonial Governor-General Fernando Primo de Rivera and the revolutionary leader Emilio Aguinaldo to end the Philippine Revolution. Aguinaldo and his fellow revolutionaries were given amnesty and monetary indemnity by the Spanish government, in return for which the revolutionary government would go into exile in Hong Kong. Aguinaldo had designs to use the money to purchase firearms and return to the archipelago. The pact was signed in San Miguel, Bulacan, in the house of Pablo Tecson, a Philippine revolutionary captain who served as a brigadier general in the Brigada del Pilar military troop of General Gregorio del Pilar during the revolution. The Constitution of Biak na Bato was a significant milestone in the Philippine struggles for independence. It marked the establishment of revolutionary government and was a response to the colonial pressure of Spanish regime. Key provision of Biak na Bato Constitution. According to Aguinaldo writing in 1899, the principal condition of the pact were 1. That I and any of my associates who desired to go with me would be free to live in any foreign country, having fixed upon Hong Kong as my place of residence. It was agreed that payment of the indemnity of 800,000 Mexican dollars should be made in 3 installments, namely 400,000 Mexican dollars when all the arms in Biak na Bato were delivered to the Spanish authorities, 200,000 Mexican dollars when the arms surrendered amounted of 800 stands. The final payment to be made when 1,000 stand of arms shall have been handed over to the authorities and Te Deum sung in the cathedral in Manila as a thanksgiving for the restoration of peace. The latter part of February was fixed as the limit of time wherein the surrender of arms should be completed. 2. The whole money was to be paid to me personally, leaving the disposal of money to my discretion and knowledge of the understanding with my associates and other insurgents. 3. Prior to evacuating Biak na Bato, the remainder of insurgent forces under Captain General Primo de Rivera should send to Biak na Bato 2 general of Spanish Army to be held as hostages by my associate who remained there until I and few of my compatriots arrived in Hong Kong and the first installment of the money payment, namely $400,000, was paid. 4. It was also agreed that the religious corporation in the Philippines be expelled and an autonomous system of government, political and administrative, be established through by special request of Gregorio del Pilar, request of General Primo de Rivera. These conditions were not insisted on the drawing of the treaty. The general contending that such concession would subject the Spanish government to severe criticism and ridicule. Aguinaldo and his associates were allowed to live in foreign country, choosing Hong Kong as their destination. The indemnity of 800,000 Mexican dollars was to be paid in 3 installments. 400,000 Mexican dollars upon delivery of arms to Spanish authorities, 200 Mexican dollars after 800 weapons were surrendered. The final payment after 1,000 weapons were handed over and a Thanksgiving ceremony held in Manila. The indemnity money was entrusted to Aguinaldo to be used at his discretion for revolutionary purposes. Spanish generals were sent to Biak na Bato as hostages until Aguinaldo and his compatriots reached Hong Kong and received the first installment of indemnity. Although it was agreed that the religious corporation would be expelled and form an autonomous government established, these provisions were excluded from the final treaty to avoid criticism of Spanish government. While the pact temporarily halted hostilities, it ultimately failed to resolve the core issues of independence and governance. Aguinaldo's exile allowed him to prepare for renewed resistance, laying the groundwork for future revolutionary efforts. The conditions of Biak na Bato and Associates pact highlighted the resilience and strategic acumen of Filipino revolutionaries. Despite its limitation, it paved the way for renewed efforts in the fight for national independence. The pact remains a critical event that reflects the complex interplay between diplomacy and armed struggle during the Philippine Revolution.
Reason for the pact failure. In December of 1897, the Filipino Revolutionary Force and the Spanish colonial government had agreed to have a sign of their truce called Biak na Bato. Through the truce, the conflict that started between the two parties who aimed for peace and providing a basis for reform. Truth promising at first, however, the agreement could not achieve the long-term goals of Filipino independence. Two major contributing factors can be attributed to this shortcoming, namely the non-fulfillment promise by the Spanish government and the resurgence of hostility among revolutionaries. First is non-fulfillment promise. The Biak na Bato truce was a failed attempt by Spanish government to implement political reform promise in Biak na Bato negotiation. The promise included greater representation for Filipino and addressing colonial oppression. However, these commitments were larger and addressed. The Spanish authorities showed little effort in implementing them. This failure to create meaningful representation or policies of uplifted colonial condition, indicating that the Spanish government was not serious engaging with revolutionary leaders. Power monopolization by colonial officials further disenfranchised Filipino leaders, highlighting the failure of the truce as a genuine attempt to maintain colonial dominion. And the second is resurgence of hostility. The Biak na Bato Agreement, despite its supposed intention to achieve peace, was a delaying tactic in the conflict. The renewed armed resistance against Spanish rule was driven by the deep passion and nationalist sentiment of Filipino who could not content with the status quo without meaningful self-determination. The treaty failures to open space for settlement through diplomacy and peace lead to a more consolidated and focused resistance to Spanish rule. The Biak na Bato Agreement serves as an example of how evasive agreements can fail when they are not committed and unresponsive to the aspiration of oppressed people. The Spanish government failure to address the fundamental of independence and self-governance relegated the freedom movement into 20th century, highlighting the importance of meaningful reform is achieving true peace and respecting the desire of citizens demanding independence.
Significance and legacy of the Biak na Bato Constitution. First attempt at a constitutional government. Emilio Aguinaldo established headquarters in Biak na Bato, Bulacan Province, sparkling revolutionary across the Philippines. General Llanera supported Aguinaldo. In this result, the Biak na Bato Republic was established in July 1897. Aguinaldo represented a set of demands to expel friars, return all friars' land, obtain representation in the Spanish Cortes, freedom of the press and religion, abolition of the government power to banish Filipinos, and equality for all. A charter that had been drafted based on the Cuban Constitution was signed on November 1, 1897 by Felix Ferrer and Isabelo Artacho. The Biak na Bato Constitution developed Supreme Council as the highest organ of government, including stipulation of some rights apparently comprehending the right to religion, the press, and education. Aguinaldo headed the government as a president and Marian Trias became vice president. Sabi daw, si Emilio Aguinaldo founded the Biak na Bato Republic in 1887 with three aims: the expulsion of friars, return of friars' land, Spanish Cortes representation. Ito daw ay charter based on Cuban Constitution was signed specifying Aguinaldo as president and Mariano Trias as vice president, providing freedom for the press, religion, and education. Inspiration for future revolutionary action. Biak na Bato. The Constitution aspiration to have republican form of governments, influencing subsequent revolutionary government. The spirit of Biak na Bato document was carried forward during later uprising as the Philippine-American War, 1899 to 1902, and on the Philippine independence movement in the 20th century. Elements from Biak na Bato Constitution would be gradually carried of the Malolos Constitution of 1899, the first constitution of the first Philippines Republic. Not fully realized, the Biak na Bato Constitution provided a foundation upon the future Filipino leaders could build their aspiration for a democratic government. Sabi daw, the Biak na Bato Constitution ay ang aim daw nito ay to have republic government, influence revolutionary movement, and was later used to the Philippine-American War and Philippine independence movement. Elements were later integrated into the Malolos Constitution. Significance of precursor to later efforts for self-governance. The Biak na Bato Constitution was highly suggestive of self-government for the Filipinos, since since in it lay the banner of pursuit of the independence and constitutional government. Its ideals had paved the way for future Philippine constitution, such as the 1916 Jones Law, which gave way the Commonwealth of the Philippines in 1935, the Philippine independence in 1946. The Constitution reflected the Filipino desire to have government that was not just a reaction against foreign rule, but also one that showed aspiration for a democratic nation based on the popular sovereignty. Sabi daw, i-emphasize was placed on the constitution of the self-government and independence of the Filipino. This event paved the way of future Philippine constitution. They include the Jones Law Commonwealth of the Philippines. Tapos, the Philippine Independence Day in 1946, reflecting Philippine aspiration for democratic neighborhood.
The context of the Malolos Congress. In April 1898, the United States declares war on Spain. The conflict begins primarily due to Cuba's struggle for independence and the mysterious sinking of the USS Maine. On May 1, 1898, the U.S. Navy, led by Commodore George Dewey, defeats Spain's fleet in the Philippines. Despite this victory, the U.S. prepares troops in San Francisco to attack Manila, marking its first overseas war. Next is the Emilio Aguinaldo and the Philippine-American War. From February to November 1899, Emilio Aguinaldo attempts conventional welfare against U.S. but suffers heavy losses. Starting November 1899, the Filipinos switched to guerrilla tactics, lasting until Aguinaldo's capture in 1901, and the war's formal end in 1902. The U.S. has significant advantage in training, resources, and naval control. Filipinos' forces struggle with limited supplies and lack of international support. Next is the Malolos Constitution. Convened on September 15, 1898, this Congress approves the Malolos Constitution on January 20, 1899, establishing the first Philippine Republic. Filipino revolutionaries ally with the U.S. and against Spain, expecting independence after Spain's defeat. However, the U.S. claims the Philippines through the Treaty of Paris and violently surpasses the independence movement, leading to conflict. The Malolos Constitution symbolizes the Filipino fight for self-governance amid betrayal and struggle shaping the nation's history.